Padres put on a clinic in pitching chaos. San Diego, nothing much happens in the ninth inning of a 16-3 blowout victory. The Giants were on the winning end of one Wednesday while completing a homestand against the Milwaukee Brewers. But even while wrapping up one of their best wins of the season, they put their strategic shortcomings on display. Advertisement, the Brewers had first baseman Andrew Vaughn lob pitches in the bottom of the eighth inning.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for core power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. High-quality protein to build muscle. The nutrition you need to power on.
Ready to order? Scan the QR code now or visit grabdeal.us/10.
The Giants had several position player candidates who could have done the same in the top of the ninth. Instead, they brought in right-hander Keaton Winn. The same Keaton Winn who had thrown the previous night. The same Keaton Winn who landed on the injured list earlier in the year when his elbow flared up due to overuse. It's not as if the Giants had a travel day coming up, either. They were beginning a series in San Diego the following night. Using Winn to finish a 13-run game ensured that he wouldn't be available the following day. There was no harm done in Winn's appearance. He got 3 outs on 14 pitches, although one of them drilled Vaughn off the helmet, but it was an absolute waste of pitching resources. The misuse of resources and odd usage decisions have been happening all year under manager Tony Vitalo's pitching group, headed up by Justin Meckage and Frank Anderson. The Giants have stuck to a conventional approach when they simply haven't been deep or talented enough to play it straight up. They haven't used openers or looked to exploit matchups. Their tendencies became obvious by the end of April when they decided against using their extra player, Trevor McDonald, as part of a bullpen game to get through the back end of a doubleheader at Philadelphia. Instead, they started Adrian Houser, ensuring that they would need a spot starter 5 days later. The Giants were walked off in both ends of that doubleheader at Philly, something that hadn't happened to them since 1956. You could argue that the team never really recovered from that twin killing. As a result, Giants president Buster Posey finds himself in sell mode at the trade deadline. The team made their first move following Sunday's 5-4 loss to the San Diego Padres at Petco Park, trading right-hander Tyler Mahle to the Atlanta Braves for right-handed reliever Anthony Molina. By the time the clock strikes 3 p.m. PDT on Monday, they're expected to offload left-hander Robbie Ray and all-star second baseman Luis Uriz as well. Advertisement from an emotional standpoint, Uriz's loss will be felt the greatest. He's been one of the few entertaining and inspiring players in a Giants uniform this season. And with both Casey Schmidt and Jesus Rodriguez on the IL, the Giants aren't exactly flush with upside plays who merit the investment of innings and plate appearances at second base over the final 2 months. From a practical standpoint, though, it'll be trickier for the Giants to backfill 2/5 of their starting rotation. They have their ace, Logan Webb, and they have right-hander Landon Roop, who has exceeded his career high for innings and was undone once again by deep counts and walks while giving up 5 runs in 4-2-3 innings on Sunday. He is out for the season, and likely all of next year, as he readies himself for Tommy John elbow reconstruction surgery. Houser, if he isn't traded, is under contract for next season and probably headed back to the starting role that he greatly prefers. Carson Weissenhunt will continue to get starts by default, even if his best chance to stick in the big leagues is probably in relief. It's probably time for the Giants to see what they've got with Matt "Tugboat" Wilkinson, the left-hander who was acquired from the Cleveland Guardians for catcher Patrick Bailey in May. Have a day, Matt "Tugboat" Wilkinson. Clapping Hands 7IP3H0ER1BB9K pic, Twitter, com/KHJISCDM2Y Sacramento River Cats, @RiverCats. August 2, 2026, when it comes to the Giants' pitching alignment, here's the thing. The how will be just as important as the who. The Padres rattled off 3 consecutive victories to take the 4-game series at Petco Park, and the most instructive part was how they did it. They employed a pitching chaos strategy. On Friday, they used right-hander Bradley Rodriguez as an opener, then went to left-hander Yusei Kikuchi for 3 innings, then summoned German Marquez, the former Colorado Rockies ace, to take them the rest of the way. Advertisement on Saturday, they started Walker Buehler and stayed with him into the 5th before turning to 4 relievers, 3 of whom threw parts of multiple innings. On Sunday, 3 hours before the first pitch, the Padres announced that left-handed reliever Kyle Hart would start. They squeezed 3 innings out of him, and then used 5 more relievers behind him to finish out their second consecutive 1-run victory. It was the kind of nose-to-tail resourcefulness that the Giants might have used under Farhan Zaidi and Gabe Kapler, perhaps at times to the extreme, but hasn't been a part of the team's calculus or second-grade arithmetic this season. You could argue that the Giants overcorrected themselves into a ditch. Did watching how the Padres run their pitching in this series give the Giants something to think about? I think a little bit, Vitalo said. We talked in the dugout, maybe Game 1 or Game 2, about running or bunting. What's our style? I think a lot of what you want to do is based off your personnel, then I think it makes sense. Some of the matchups they got the last 2 days were pretty good, but I think it kind of boils down to personnel. A lot's pretty clean in line with the 2 guys they got at the very end of the game. But no matter what happens, matchup-wise, left-right, you still have to execute. Vitalo makes a valid point. The Padres have right-hander Mason Miller, who might be the most untouchable relief pitcher in Major League history. When Oslevis Basabe hit a bases-loaded double off the All-Star closer in the 8th inning Saturday night, scoring 2 inherited runners to tie the game, it was the first blown save for Miller since Aug. But Miller has thrown just 47-1-3 of the Padres' 989 innings this season. It's not like the rest of the Padres' bullpen has been impenetrable, either. Jeremiah Estrada was on the IL for a long stretch. Ron Marinaccio has made the 6th most appearances, and he was designated for assignment last week with a 4.79 ERA. Advertisement clearly, there have to be things the Padres are doing better than the Giants, right? How else have they separated themselves by 11 games in the standings and remained in contention? Statistically speaking, the 2 teams aren't so different. Entering Sunday, the Padres and Giants were as identical as it gets in terms of aggregate scoring, 4.21 versus 4.2 runs per game, even if the Giants' feast-or-famine disbursement pattern has been one heck of a wild ride. Both teams have struggled to get quality, consistent work from their rotations, too. Their starting staffs entered Sunday tied for 26th with -2.5 wins above average. The obvious difference is that the Padres' bullpen has been far superior, first with 2.7 WAA versus the Giants, who ranked 25th at -2.8. The less obvious implication: the Padres have leveraged that bullpen to reduce exposure to a rotation that has just one pitcher who has amassed more than 1 BWAR, Michael King. The Giants' bullpen, of course, hasn't been able to cover its own innings with any consistency, and that's a failure that falls on an ownership group and front office that failed to invest enough resources to upgrade that group this past offseason. But there's been plenty of failure downstream, too. Perhaps a more proactive and fluid approach, steering relievers into matchup-based pockets earlier in games, as well as doing a better job reading and reacting mid-game instead of sticking to the preferred script, might have allowed the Giants to squeeze a little more bullpen performance. For a big chunk of the season, the Giants had the most lopsided per-inning run differential in the 4th and the 5th, in part because they stayed too long with their starting pitchers. They have played just 47 games in which the starter threw more than 80 pitches, which is the 3rd fewest in the major leagues. Their 18 quality starts, at least 6 innings, no more than 3 earned runs, have them tied with the Colorado Rockies for the fewest. The Giants' rotation, in terms of negative value generation, is neck and neck with the Padres. So it hasn't helped that Giants starters have spent more time on the mound. The Giants have only played 18 games in which a starter threw fewer than 80 pitches, which is the 6th fewest in the majors. Roop labored on Sunday yet was allowed to throw 99 pitches without making it through the 5th. 2 nights earlier, Carson Weissenhunt threw 74 pitches in 3-1-3 innings and issued consecutive walks before it became obvious that the Giants needed to make a change. It was a strange scene when Vitalo walked to the mound. He stood with Weissenhunt and catcher Drew Cavanaugh, and all three appeared to stare into space without speaking before plate umpire Chris Guccione walked out to break it up. Vitalo said something, and then Guccione signaled to the bullpen. If Vitalo was stalling, Hauser said he didn't need more time. He was ready to enter the game because he could see how it was unfolding and had taken his own initiative to start getting ready. Even the basic mechanics of making a pitching change continue to be a struggle for this coaching staff. And if the how continues to appear broken, then improving the who will only fix so much.